my first job in radio was doing a remote broadcast from a lobster festival that this artist just happened to be playing at.
Podcast New York.
What's up, Dueling Decades? This is Wax. Peace to all you guys, and thanks for having me on the show. Will it be the 90s or the 80s? Beanie Babies or Crack Babies? Will it be Nirvana or Madonna? Maybe Britney, maybe Whitney. Do you like new metal or new wave? Dave Grohl or Super Dave? I don't know. But now the battle begins. Dueling Decades. Let's see who wins.
Dueling Decades.
Broadcasting from the Podcast New York studios, it's another all-new Dueling Decades, the adult-only retro game show where the decades battle for supremacy because it's your history. We just fight for it. Welcome back. I am Marc James, and this week we bring you a best of worst duel, where I will be competing with June of 1970 alongside the other duelers and the decades they will be fighting for. First off is a man who insists that the cookie stand is not part of the food court. Say hello to Mancrush.
That's right. It's not. It's mid-mall snacking, man. Yeah, I got, and actually that fits in where I am right now because I have June 1990, and this is the best of the worst. So we're going to bring you the worst picks, but our judge is going to pick the best of the worst. So that should be pretty fun. And one last thing, Joe reminded me to say this. If you're coming into the live right now, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, do all that stuff now. And it actually helps us out. I guess we never remind anybody to do this. So please do that.
Also joining us on the panel and looking for big money and no whammies, it's the incomparable Mike Ranger.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Ranger. I always think I'm going to have something really cool to say, and I don't have anything cool to say. I'm just not cool. I'm wearing a rad shirt.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
And as always here on the show, we need somebody to adjudicate all of this awesomeness. This week's guest judge is the actor you know and love from films such as Children of the Corn, The Burbs, and Can't Buy Me Love. And you can see him along in the new film, Queen Bees, alongside another all-star cast. All rise for the multi-talented judge, Courtney Gains.
What's up, y'all?
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest will be held under Dueling Decades rules. The judges' coin flip shall decide who picks first out of the 5 Dueling Decades categories: movies, television, music, news, and hot products. A judge's ruling will determine who wins each round, allowing the victor to choose the next available category. The first 3 rounds are worth 1 point each, with rounds 4 and 5 worth 2 points apiece. And in the event of a tie after all 5 rounds, we'll go to a final wild card round. Remember, duelers, to review the show, like, subscribe, and play along at home. It's time for more Dueling Decades. All right, let's pass it right over to Courtney Gains for the coin toss to see who goes first this week.
Okay, so that would be heads, and this would be tails. Who's calling it?
All right, this week it'll be between Mancrush and Mike Ranger. Mike Ranger, why don't you have the honors?
Oh, I think I'll
Ready?
go with a little bit of heads.
Here we go. Tails, my friend.
Ooh.
Nice.
All right, Mancrush, you win the coin toss, and you get to select our first category.
All right. Let's start things off with news this week. How's that?
All righty.
Let's go to June 22nd of 1990. And this is sort of a reverse of what we've just been doing for the last 18 months. Instead of states mandating like wearing a mask, Florida, of all places, bans a particular piece of clothing from being worn. And apparently this is still a law today. At least that's what I was able to find online. It looked like in the last update I found from 2018, this is still a thing. So if anyone is in Florida and you could let us know for sure, that would be great. I know Mark's been dying to get down to the Sun Coast and show his off. But this is an article titled Unsuitable, and it was written by Susan Boletto of the Miami Herald. And here's a little abridged version of that article. For those who haven't been to the beach lately, or at least for the past couple years, the thong is a Brazilian swimsuit, and the word swimsuit is being used advisedly. The thong is basically a couple of strips of material only 2 inches wide at the widest, barely covering the buttocks. It is, for the most part, a female concern, although a few men wear the manly version. God, it's just frightening. The Florida cabinet approved new restrictions last week that will make the risque swimsuits just as illegal as nude sunbathing on about 30 state-owned miles of Florida's 780 miles of beaches. The new rule takes effect Friday, just in time for the weekend. The basic idea from what the cabinet has is simple. On state-owned beaches where families with kids come for a day of fun in the sun and picnic lunches, you don't want a few half-naked people ruining things for everyone. The people being asked to cover up can still enjoy everything the beach has to offer. And like simple ideas everywhere, it has neatly divided all beachgoers. All right, that's all I'm going to say about the article. But listen, all I'm saying is this. If gross-ass dudes like us can run around with some grape smugglers at the beach, then women should be allowed to wear a thong bikini at the beach, right? I mean, we're worse. And look, we all know what we look like in one or the other. So if you look good, rock that shit. If you look not so good, wear something else. And this is where, like, friends and family, you're the most important, because your friend is going to ask you, how does this look on me? Be honest. Don't be like, well, yeah, it's all right. You should wear that. Like, no, just tell them, no, just wear something else. Seriously, that's what it all boils down to. Has anyone over the years really complained about seeing like a supermodel wearing a thong at the beach? I haven't. Even if I brought my daughter out, it's like, whatever. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. Stupid law, but that's my news pick. Thongs are banned from all public beaches in Florida. And that's June what date was it? June the 22nd of 1990.
All right, Mike Ranger, what did you bring for the news round?
Well, Mark, I found an article in the Philadelphia Daily News from June 10th, 1980, titled "Pryor Critically Burned in Lighter Mishap." The article tells us that Richard was suffering third-degree burns over 50% of his face and body. Pryor's upper body and head were in flames last night when, according to police reports, his cigarette lighter apparently accidentally ignited a flammable liquid in his bedroom. Officers on the scene didn't seem to really believe Pryor's story, and with good reason. What actually happened was Pryor tried to commit suicide by dousing himself in rum while freebasing. He spent 6 weeks in recovery. Interesting side note, the lighter story sparked a long debate on the safety of butane lighters.
Wow. Unreal. Jeez. All right. Well, that'll be a tough one to follow. All right. Well, for my news pick here, my first job in radio was doing a remote broadcast from a lobster festival that this artist just happened to be playing at. So my job was to check in at each stop set and ask a bunch of rednecks about lobster and if they were excited to see this chart-topping artist later in the evening. So when this article popped up, I threw down the bullshit flag and I knew this would be my worst of news. So let's go to the pages of the Detroit Free Press, June 23rd, 1970. Headline reads, "Chubby Checker gets twisted in the law." Chubby Checker, the man who twisted his way into America's pop heart, has been arrested by border authorities in Niagara, New York, on charges of possessing drugs. The inventor of the twist, a pioneer rock dance, was booked with 3 other men after authorities said they found marijuana capsules and hashish in the car with them while they were traveling. The police accused Checker of possessing a 1/4 pound of marijuana. The others booked on possession charges were Richard Weasel, John Burchell, and Robert H. Williams. Checker's real name is Ernest Evans. The police said that he was arrested at the Rainbow Bridge in New York, and he was en route to New York City after completing a 2-week engagement at a nightclub in Sunbury, Ontario. Okay, guys. So a 1/4 pound of weed he had on him. That's 4 ounces. for 4 guys on a tour. Completely reasonable.
For that day.
So maybe next time you guys have a smoke, why don't you twist one up for old Chubby Checker at the Rainbow Bridge in June 1970?
It was before the Fat Boys.
So that was my news story. Let's pass it over to Courtney Gains for the judgment on the news round.
Okay, now let's be clear again. So I have to pick the worst of these? This is my job, or to pick what I think is the best of the worst?
You have to pick the best of the worst this week.
Okay. Sounds odd to say, I guess, the best of the worst, but I'm gonna have to go with the burn. I'm gonna have to go with the guy lighting himself up. I just think that's a crazy ass story. That's a cracky story if I've ever heard of one.
Did you ever work with Richard Pryor?
No, but I remember that. I remember that well. But it's funny. You talked about the bikini thing, though. If I'm not mistaken, that's in the news again as an issue. Wearing thongs. If I'm not mistaken, it's coming back
in Florida again.
I don't know if it's Florida. I can't say sure it's Florida, but but I think it is actually. Yeah, there was a whole thing about wearing thongs again in some beach in Florida, some town.
What's the big deal? I mean, look, I think I summed it up right. And the people in the chat, Joe, I don't know if anybody's brought that up or not, if they agree or disagree with what I said, but I think you just know what you're wearing when you leave. There was matter of fact, I came across this little snippet, and this could be bad. This little thing. It says, what's wrong with the thong bikini or bathing suit? And this was a mother that wrote into a newspaper in 1990. And she wrote, what is the big deal about a G-string or thong bikinis? I am a wife and a mother of 3 boys, and I see nothing wrong with these suits. When I first brought my thong bikini out, my oldest son asked me why I had it on. I told him I like the style and there's nothing to be ashamed of. He has never asked me about it since. That's weird. Like when you go with your kids with a thong bikini, but if you're not bringing your kids.
Hey, Mancrush, just a few moments ago, you advocated to ask your family and friends if they thought your thong bikini looked okay.
She didn't say that she asked him if it looked okay or not. I mean, come on. All right.
I think they just have something against hard bodies.
But that's, of course, how could I not think of hard bodies with the bikini thing? I don't think it was quite G-strings back then, but there were lots of hot-looking girls in bikinis in that movie. That's for sure. That was my second film, so quite a second film to get to go to.
I'm surprised they didn't win this round then. But all right, fine.
Well, I wasn't supposed to base it on film experiences. That wasn't the rule.
You could base it however you want, Courtney. You're the judge, man.
He's just looking for the bigger, better deal, man.
Oh, the DVD. There you go. DVD. And hard bodies, that word became, actual word in the dictionary after that. And they named a truck after it. So how about that for some pop culture, right?
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.